Today I'm talking with Jack Howell, Head of Commercial Property at GloverPriests Solicitors. Jack shares his incredible journey at GloverPriests, from starting in an admin support role to becoming head of the commercial department. Along the way, he's worked across conveyancing, family law, wills, accounts, training, litigation, and commercial property. We cover it all, including the lessons, the challenges, and opportunities that have really truly shaped his career. Jack's is a really inspiring story. So, Jack, please can you share a little bit about your journey throughout Glover Priest?
So initially, how I kind of jumped into my starting role, I'd just gotten out of kind of my master's and my LPC. I'd finished that during COVID, and I was looking everywhere for jobs, and it was quite difficult. I actually got into Glover Priest through a friend of my dad, was a friend of Martin's, and they were kind of pushing to see if they could get some assistance around the office at the time to help clear up some stuff with some people working away from the office at the time. And I went in and had a couple interviews with Martin, Laura Jennings at the time, and then Rachel Aspinall and Wendy. Initially, I got the gist I was going to be jumping into conveyancing to start with, but I joined as a new business support member. I worked in new business for about probably say half a day, and then they pushed me to assist the conveyancing team. So I kind of started as admin support. My job was pretty much to download all of the mortgage offers from our lender portals, provide them to the fee earners, and attach them to the ticket files. And I think I was doing that for a few weeks. I wanted a bit more, so I kind of approached Wendy, who I was working on the same floor as, who said that there was an opening to kind of help her out, maybe get a bit of training in the conveyancing department. So I moved into her team, started doing a supporting role, so became a kind of like a legal assistant. And Wendy basically started giving me quite a lot more to do, gave me some initial guidance, training. It was really good, and I quite quickly became a paralegal. And Wendy had me handling a lot more of the legal side of the transactions, reporting, speaking to clients, raising inquiries, that sort of thing. And then after a few months of that, they were looking into options for me to gauge a little bit more experience within the wider departments. So I moved into, if I can remember it correctly, because it's been some time now, I did a little bit of family with Lee Trubshaw, just doing a bit of like financial statements, getting to the gist of how they work in that department. I wasn't really there that long because Lee worked part-time and wasn't really in the office that much. So it gave me the option to actually then move into another one. Wills and probate were having their free wills month at the time. So it's quite a good opportunity for me to assist them, get a bit of training, see how they worked in that department. It was really good. It was very busy because, as you can imagine, with a free wills month, I think a lot of people were pretty much like, yeah, that sounds good. We may as well get a free will. And it got me doing a lot of what they use, Arc and Legal, some of the options that Wills and Probate have for that side of the department, which was really good to kind of learn. And then when the free wills month ended, I kind of handled a couple of financial statements and stuff for them. And then I moved into the accounts department, which was very new. I wasn't really expecting what it was. The ledgers and stuff were very confusing to begin with, but I kind of got to the gist of things, learned quite a lot in a short space of time, because a lot of it was stuff that I still use today. And it actually really did help me. I think when I spoke to the accounts team, a lot of people don't really understand the ins and outs of what they do. So when they submit stuff through ticket completions and that sort of thing, if it comes back that something slightly incorrect, it can throw accounts off quite a lot. People don't tend to understand just how important it is. That was definitely useful. After working with accounts for a bit, I became a bit of a office cleaner.
Why did you become a cleaner?
The needs of the department, to be honest, the needs of the firm. We had a bit of a change around. So the accounts team actually changed around a little bit at the time. The previous head of accounts left, and we got a new head of accounts in, which was Leighton. And it was kind of his role to get things up to speed. And there were a couple offices which were full of accounting documents that needed to be reviewed. And as I was kind of I was just helping everybody. It was like, Jack, do you wanna have a go at this? And to be honest, I've always been of the mindset that I'm kind of happy to do whatever I need to, because everything's going to be good experience. So no task was kind of too big or too small. I do kind of think now it was probably a bigger task than I was expecting it to be. It took me about 2 or 3 weeks just to deal with the cleaning of the offices, but it
Oh
was good.
my gosh. Wow. What did that particular role teach you?
I guess it probably taught me to be more organized. uh,
That's a good one. Yeah.
and I guess it kind of gave me a bit of insight into what accounts do more. I think a lot of the documents were bank rec and client ledger and office ledger, and the view was that yeah, it had to kind of match everything off on the accounts ledgers, and those documents were useful to do those matching off. So I had to kind of get everything into date order and prioritize things. And to be honest, it did definitely help with my organization skills for sure. Hopefully it's worked today, but we don't know.
And then what happened after the cleaning role?
After the cleaning, there was a job opening that I was kind of put forward for without really applying. Um, I think people kind of gauged that I was a very to-do character. I was asked if I could become the like internal trainer. I did a lot of research before I did it. I had to do a load of training programs for Ticket, which we use at the moment. And the intention was for someone to be available to go and train new staff and be an option for current staff to ask questions or provide tips and stuff for the case management system at the time. I learned a lot from it as well. I think for me, it wasn't just a can you do this? It was more of a this is definitely going to help you in the long run. And it definitely did. From the internal training role, I did that for about a month and a half to 2 months. It kind of helped me progress some training guides, which I did use and have been using up until now, really. I've kind of progressed them a little bit more, but I've still used them for new staff because they've been very, very useful. But whenever that kind of finished, and it was more of a temporary role for me, and I think for them as well, because they wanted to get someone in who was going to be a specific trainer rather than someone that they were aware wanted development and progression within a legal role rather than being a trainer. So they kind of asked, "What do you want to do?" And my immediate reaction was training contract, and they said, "Yeah, 100%. You've proved yourself. Here's your training contract." And then I went and moved into litigation, which I did for a year, handling debt recovery, repossession, that sort of thing. And then I worked closely with Martin at the time on some commercial matters and a little bit on residential, to the point that I then qualified, and kind of expertise were residential and commercial, but I was mainly doing residential conveyancing because we didn't have a large commercial intake. A lot of the solicitors who were doing bits of commercial were doing probably 70-80% residential with 20% commercial because the firm wasn't seen at the time to be a big commercial or have a big commercial department, um, which obviously opened up avenues for me after I qualified to try and train myself. I saw external training for commercial from a lady called Cherry Elliott, and she gave me some external training over the first year and a bit to get to a point where I was competent in commercial matters. And then it's kind of progressed now, 3 years down the line, post qualified, and I've become head of commercial department. So that's probably a lengthy summary, but probably a briefer summary than everything I've done all in one go.
Yeah, it sounds like you've really done a lot of things and tested different areas, and it's kind of amazing that you've gone through, the accounts team to conveyancing, family, training, like cleaning. It's just crazy.
It does
Yeah,
feel crazy thinking back to it now, to be honest.
yeah, but also I think it's also amazing, at the same time. I think it's great to get experience in different areas and stuff, but yeah, that wow. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone who's had that type of journey within the same firm, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I've not. a lot of the solicitors and stuff that I've spoken to, even some of the people that I've spoke to externally at networking and stuff, haven't really been through the same process. But it's definitely helped me, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And would you be able to explain just a little bit about what your role is now?
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm kind of heading up our commercial department. We have a couple of fee earners at the moment that are looking to develop a little bit more into the commercial side of property, um, kind of coming away from residential a little bit. Um, and I don't know if I can say this, but I think commercial is a little bit meatier. It's a little bit more to get into. And that's nothing against residential property. I still handle a few things for specific clients. But at the moment, I'm trying to help set up more of a commercial footprint for Glover Priest, and I think over the last few years, I think we've done that really well. Um, which I'm hoping is probably the reason why I've jumped up to becoming head of department, because we have got that following. I don't think we've ever had a specific commercial solicitor taking on full caseload of commercial files. So to be in this position is really good. And I'm hoping to kind of use that to develop other members of staff. I have a trainee solicitor that works within my team at the moment, Jack. There's two Jacks. It is really confusing to a lot of clients, but
Yeah, yeah.
but he's training at the moment, so he wants to do commercial at the end of his SQE. So at the moment, we're just trying to distribute files, speak to agents and past clients who have come back to me with new matters, and I'm trying to get other fee owners on board so that at least with the specific clients I've got, it's a shared thing, so that clients can kind of build a good relationship with the department as a whole, not just myself. And it also gives really good experience to those that are currently training as well.
Do you think that looking back when you started, after you did your master's, LPC,
Mhm.
did you think that in such a, I would say, short space of time,
Yeah.
although it's a lot of years, but in the grand scheme of things, I think you've progressed very quickly. Did you ever think like, oh, I'd be heading up a commercial team?
No, no. At the time, I think when I first started, my main goal really was I wanted to get into law, and I think as probably everyone who's getting into law wants to qualify and become a registered lawyer, and I think that's probably most people's goals. I've always kind of had in the back of my mind, and I think I've been taught from kind of day one, is you always want to have a next step plan. So whenever I qualified, immediately, or even just before I was qualifying, I was kind of thinking, what do I want to progress to? And whenever I started handling a lot more of the commercial side of matters, it was very much the next step would be to develop a department. And I think initially that was my intention, was I want to develop us to a point we have a department that we can run a lot of commercial matters, and a lot of fee earners can probably join on, take on work. And then in my head was I would like to probably head up the department at some point whenever I feel comfortable and ready to do so. And yeah, the Glover Priest have offered that to me, and I've taken it up quite quickly. So
I think what seems to be quite evident is that, I've spoken to so many team members within Glover Priest, and they all tell me a similar story in the sense that they managed to progress and share what they wanted to do, and then that was kind of given to them once they've kind of proved that they're worth staying in the company and other things. But I think it's really interesting because I never really hear this from so many companies, where they actually willingly like, right, what do you want? Okay, yeah, let's make that happen for you. So I think it's really great that you've had that experience.
yeah, I'd agree, and I do think that that's something that the firm are really good at, is you're rewarded for everything you do. Like nothing really goes to waste as such. So everything that you're doing to try and develop and progress, as long as you're putting in the work and you're working hard and it shows, the rewards will come. And I guess as I'm probably an evidence point, they can come quicker than you expect when you put that work in. So
Definitely. How does it feel working for Glover Priest? What made you stay so long and do all these, random roles, even when they didn't seem like they were necessarily relevant to your ultimate goal?
I guess whenever it first came about that it would be offered that I could do a load of different things, I'm very much a person that I prefer experience. I don't really want to jump into something kind of unwillingly. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it full throttle. So I knew that each of the different areas and everything that was kind of offered to me was kind of a string to my bow whenever I was progressing. So it was really good to have that option available to me as well. It wasn't kind of just a case of me thinking, oh, I want to go and jump into that department and that department. It was, there was availability to do it. And I think with I guess any person starting in law that wants to progress quite quickly or just wants to progress at all, any experience, no matter what it is useful experience. I think in this job, life experience also helps. And I think a lot of those roles gave me life experience. And I think the cleaning was definitely a good life experience because it helps with home life as well. But it's all been really useful. And yeah, it doesn't, from what I've kind of spoken to other solicitors and stuff about, it doesn't seem like it's something that is offered to, well, many other people in other firms, to be honest.
I would agree with that. What would you say the culture is like at Glover Priest?
I'd say that everyone's really friendly. For me, I think it was really good that I did the internal training role because it allowed me to kind of witness the culture in all the other offices, not just the one that I was originally in at the time. Everyone is so friendly, everyone's so inclusive, doors are always open. I don't think I've ever had a time where I felt kind of less loneliness in a sense. Is some people may not feel like there's always someone to go to, but within the firm there is. Whether it's management or another support or another director, whoever it may be, there is that sense of inclusion, which is really good to see. And even whenever I started the training role, I met a lot of people within the firm who I wouldn't probably normally have met as often or as quick as I would have done. And everyone was so welcoming. I just think it's really good to see.
Yeah, that's so nice. It makes it such a better experience when you're working with, nice people.
Yes, yeah, it
Yes.
does.
What about this idea of mentorship? Because you've mentioned, that you're currently kind of like mentoring and like, I guess, managing
Mhm,
people within your commercial team, but also you've had that mentorship from other people in the past, like, for example, in the conveyancing team that you mentioned, and
mhm.
also probably from Martin
Yes.
as well. How important is mentorship generally within Glover Priest?
I think it is probably one of the most important things for people who are looking to progress and learn and train and such. Whenever I kind of like first worked with differing fee earners when I worked in conveyancing to start with, I think each mentor probably had a different way of training. There was kind of some parts of it that they would train similar, but obviously everyone's different. Everyone's going to have learnt differently. They handle matters slightly differently, which is evident. I think a lot of fee earners, or particularly directors and management and stuff, probably handle files differently because it's the comfort of how they work. And I think in the different areas that I've worked in, each mentor has definitely taught things differently to each other. And to be honest, I think some people might think it would be difficult to have that difference, but for me now, probably at the time it was difficult to switch into how each mentor taught, but now it's given me a sense of what was good during that mentoring, what was useful, what wasn't as useful, what could be useful in my mentoring for staff that work with me now. And I think I've tried to take little bits from every single one and apply it so that at least that person hopefully feels like they're training in the right way. And I think the one thing that I've tried to do quite regularly is ask whoever I'm training how they feel about the training quite regularly. And the main reason being is I think whenever I was training, it was more of a case of however they showed it to be done, this is how you do it. And I think I didn't have the experience at the time to go, oh, but I want to be trained in this way. And I think everyone has their own kind of tactics of how they train skills themselves that they want to develop and how they want to develop. And I think opening that gate to them has been more beneficial for me as well.
How do you think mentorship has helped you grow, both giving, giving
Mhm.
mentorship and also receiving it?
I think with the whole growth side, I think it's just been something new each time. I think because of the way that my journey has gone, it has been in very different circumstances. So each area has been completely different. And obviously, the same with mentorship has been quite different at times, but receiving it has been just more beneficial for me than I probably thought at the time. I think at the time I was very much I'm just going to do this because this is what I want to do. I want to progress, and if I can work hard, then hopefully I'll get to a point where I can progress and develop. And I think now looking back at it, it's put me in a better position now, having all that mentoring at the time, to be more comfortable in providing it to other people.
For sure. Do you think you would have experienced that same growth if you worked, for example, remotely as opposed to within an office environment?
Not at all. I think the whole fully remote or remote environment is people have different opinions on it at the moment, but for me and for my progression and the journey that I've been on, I think if I was working fully remote, I just wouldn't have experienced everything that I'm glad that I experienced. Being in the office and being able to build kind of working relationships with the people you're working with actually has a bigger impact on you than you probably think. Because coming into the office and being able to talk to someone, whether you go down and make a drink and you're just chatting away, whether it's case matters that you want a bit of assistance on, or just a chat in general, I find that being in an office environment kind of, you know, it enhances the work that you're doing. I have done working from home, not regularly. It's just been a one-off if my car had to go in the garage or something like that, where I wasn't able to get into work. And in all honesty, I don't like it. um, Personally, I just feel that when I'm in the office, it's kind of like a motivational thing. When I'm in the office, I know I'm going to be working. There's no potential issue with procrastination, which I think is probably something that could be an issue if you're working from home regularly. And I like the switch. I like to kind of switch off. I do work from home on occasion if I've got a little bit of extra work to do. I've got some files that are quite urgent, but for me, home is home and work is coming into work, and that split is, I think, key for probably feeling less stressed. I think it's definitely been good to have that switch and be able to turn off. So, no, long answer. No, I don't think it's a good idea if you want to progress, and particularly quickly. First-hand experience is better than being on a phone or a screen. So
I think you're right. I think you learn so many things, probably more than you think, as you mentioned, from being around people and learning how they speak to clients and things like this, and being able to actually sit there and watch how they work, I think is just so crucial to your growth. And you wouldn't be able to do all these, adapt to all these different roles if you were working from home, because people, and also people wouldn't be able to see, oh, he's a hard worker, he is able to adapt, he's willing to put in the extra mile type of thing. So I think it sounds like, from what you've said, being in the office has been absolutely fundamental to your progression.
without a doubt, yeah, I think that with particularly for people who do want to work from home but want the progression side of things, I think you have to work 10 times harder if you want to work from home, because particularly for kind of rewards and progression, showing up and proving yourself is obviously quite an important aspect. And I think doing it from home is a lot more difficult to prove that because there aren't people there. I think this probably goes back to the mentorship side, is when I've been mentored, having it firsthand and being there with them, whenever they can see your training and how well you're kind of doing, it's then passed on to management. But if you're working from home, you can only kind of really go, oh, well, I've seen them send emails out or do these reports or whatever it is. And I think it probably makes it 10 times more difficult if you actually want to progress properly.
For sure. And I think it would be a much slower process because, as you say, it's hard to see how you work and how much effort you put into things. So how can people know that you should develop to the next stage if they're not seeing that type of thing? What would you say in terms of how important has being given the opportunities to develop yourself been for for example, where you are now in your role?
I think all of the opportunities, the internal opportunities that I've had, have just given me, I guess, perspective is probably a really important thing for those internal opportunities, because as I said before, even whenever I moved into like accounts, for instance, it gave me a perspective of how they work. Whereas if I didn't have that experience, I would just kind of think, sending through a completion statement, here's the posting slip, please send the monies to whomever. I don't really get that perspective of what actually goes into handling the account side. And I can confirm there is a lot more involved in the account side than people probably think. So it's definitely been important for my development, in a sense of probably as well appreciation for other departments and the work that they actually do. And I think with that appreciation, I think I do try and show it. Like I do have a good working relationship, and I'm quite good friends with a lot of the people that work in the firm, particularly in accounts as well, because I did work with them for like a couple months when I was training, and everyone's so lovely. So uh, for me, for my personal development as well as my business development, it was without a doubt one of the best things I've probably done.
What would you say are your goals or aspirations for the future within Glover Priest?
Right now, I think I want to develop the department up to be quite I guess just a better than it is standard. Get Jack, support staff, trainee solicitors and stuff who want to do the commercial role, get them trained up so that they're at a point where they can take on a few more files, and hopefully we can expand the department so that it's commercially really good for the firm, bringing in kind of quite a high turnover in the years, and hopefully progress the staff to a point that they're qualifying, wanting to maybe set up their own departments eventually in other offices. And I guess for me, next steps is I want to get to a point where directorship's available, and then I'll probably see what happens after that.
It's amazing that you can have those goals as well and feel like they're achievable because of your experience in the firm. I think that's amazing.
Hopefully it'll all come true eventually.
Why do you feel so kind of, I don't know what the word is, but let's say like dedicated to building the team within your department at the moment? You know, you've mentioned that you want to grow the department, you want to develop it, you want to bring in more business, expand it. Why do you feel so dedicated to doing that for the company?
I think it's a bit of a multifold answer. Is I think I've been kind of rewarded a lot in a short space of time. I'm quite proud of where I've gotten to and how I've gotten there. And obviously that's been a lot down to the firm that I'm working for. So I do want to kind of show that I appreciate it. So my intentions are to help the firm in any way I can. And by developing the department, hopefully it offers people another route, particularly for an example, Jack, who works for me now, is doing his training contract. He's doing his SQE. And he worked in new business, and we had a brief conversation about what he wanted to do, and commercial was something that he was quite interested in trying. Because I was kind of only doing a little bit of it, I could only kind of offer partial training on that side with residential conveyancing. And I think now that he's progressed quite quickly and he's enjoying commercial, I'm hoping that if more people want to do that, they've now got that option as well. I think it's always good to have another avenue that the firm can do, particularly for new staff and for new work. Commercial work is very varied, and I deal with kind of multi-million-pound transactions quite often, and you can kind of see it in some of the support staff dealing with those types of matters, that it seems quite fun to be dealing with something that's quite high value. It seems it. And with our department, particularly for commercial, we kind of treat quotes and stuff on a bespoke basis. So it depends on how complex the work is and stuff. So the department's quite good at bringing in good clients and obviously being good with quotes and fees and such. But it's just a department that's ever expanding. So I think it's good for anyone. I'm hoping to try and expand it over the next couple of years. And I think it's possible. It'd just be good to get people who want to do it in.
So, what would you say is your proudest moment in the firm?
So I think I've recapped or going to recap quite a lot of stuff that I probably already mentioned, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily a moment as such, more of my actual whole time at GloverPriests. I think there's so many different moments which I've been proud of. And at the moment, I think what kind of gives me a lot of pride in the stuff that I do is the people that are working within my team being happy doing the work. It sounds like a weird thing to say when I've got quite a lot of stuff that I'm really proud of, but even when Jack, who moved from new business into our team, was kind of pushed forward to do the trainee, the SQE, and do it, he's kind of similar to me. Everything's been quite quick, so he kind of only did 6 to 12 months training and then starts his SQE, which is very quick. But I felt quite proud that he was comfortable doing that, and it kind of gave me a bit of insight to think I'm doing something right, which was definitely something that I've been quite proud of throughout the last kind of 3 years with most of the people that work within the team. And hopefully I'll continue to progress, and everyone will stay happy and wants to do commercial for a long time, hopefully.
Oh, that's really nice. And yeah, I can imagine it being really rewarding when you've, guided someone and mentored them and trained them, and then to see them actually doing well. Yeah, I can imagine why that would be a really proud moment.
It is. It is. And obviously I'm extremely proud. And I think you touched on this earlier about how quick the journey has been for me. And I don't really take much time to think about that now. It's more of I get into work and I do the job, and I don't really think about the last 5.5 years that I've had. And I think whenever I first started, so my first day that I was in new business, I don't think I would have ever thought by this time I would be in the position I am. So although I'm quite proud of how everything's going with other people, I'm extremely proud of the position that I've gotten to, and hopefully it's a start of something really good. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm extremely proud of, and should probably think about that a lot more. Um, I think we probably take things for granted, so I don't always think about it too much. So it's nice to kind of recap everything that's gone on and think, you know what, you've done something special for yourself. So hopefully other people will kind of do the same thing, and hopefully they kind of think the same.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you'd like more information, please don't hesitate to contact us. Our details will be in the description.